So guys, you know how the computer is booted and you want to modify the boot settings. So is it possible to modify the boot settings? The answer is yes. Because Linux is a open source and it is provided you the facility and allow you to make the difference as per your requirement. You can modify as per your requirement. Got it? So let's talk about the modify the boot settings. If you want to modify the boot settings, so what are the important files and what type of the modification you can do it? We will cover all these things in the session. So let's start. And so what is the grub? Grub is a bootloader. When you start the Linux distro, in the starting you find there is a some bootloader is loaded. So I am just giving you an example so you will find the better. Like I am going to run the hypervisor manager, Hyper-V manager. Inside this manager, here is the one machine, the Kali Linux. So I am going to connect this machine first, and then I am going to start this machine. When I am starting the machine, so you will see there is some options are there. So what are the options are there? These option, these options are the grub options or the boot options. Okay, if you want to edit any one of these options, so you can just press the E and you will reach on this here on this machine on this location. So on this location you can see the Linux and all the information is here. Load video, load LMS, and mode is exe2, and root hard disk is this one, and also provide some image like root Linux. Here is the boot image. You can see this one is a boot image, and root, this boot image will be loaded. If you want to modify this information, you can modify, but right now I am not modifying anything. I am just showing you the boot information or the grub information will be here. Not only this, there is another things is also here. So what are the things which you will find inside the boot? The primary bootloader most in a Linux distribution, this is the grub bootloader. Most of the Linux have the same grub bootloader. So this is supports the many platforms. It supports also the live boot. So what is the meaning of the live boot? Live boot means you will install the operating system in a USB and put the USB in your pocket and you can start any system by using this particular USB. Means Linux has the capability to install the live operating system in a pen drive. Not only this, you will also find out the live bootable devices, ISO devices on the internet where you can download it. When I am going to download the Kali Linux, then I will find some important locations here, and one is a live option is there. So when you click on the live, so it will allow you to download the live ISO images. So this type of the image, when you create a bootable pen drive, so you can use that pen drive to boot any system. You just connect your USB drive and you can boot any computer with this help of this machine, this thing. Okay. So also it will extensibility rescue mode is there, so you can modify and change, and also there is a possibilities to customize the menus. Now grub to install. Actually there is some problems happened when the device is not booting. There is a one thing is possible, like grub has been corrupted. So there is a grub to boot loader, and grub to install command which will regenerate the grub bootloader and reinstall. So you can use the grub to install command and option and their device's name. So in a Kali Linux or any other operating system, So there is a lots of the options are available. These options can be used for rescue or for the regenerate the grub install. If you want to install in another location, so you can. Another is the file which can be added. The file inside the etc and grub.d. So what are the files here? When you read the ls here etc then the grub.d, so you will find there is a lots of the files here. If you want to make the customize the grub bootloader, so there is a 40 custom option where you can custom. If you want to make any modification at the time of the starting of the grub, so you can do the modification inside 00 header. So these are the files which can be used or which can be modified to modifying the grub. Do not add it directly, you can add it by using the customize the boot menu. So another is a default grub file which is loading the default things, and it's look like here. If you go, here is the cat etc boot grub. Nothing. This default etc default. So this is the default grub which will display here the grub default is 0, grub timeout, distributor, Linux. So all this information is a default. Means when the grub will be generated, this default value will be loaded. Okay. So grub to make configuration, if you want to regenerate the source file. So source file is a grub.cfg and this is exists inside the boot. So ls/boot and grub, and inside the grub there is a grub.cfg file. Okay, so if you want to check this file, you can use the boot grub and grub.cfg. This is the configuration file. So which is loaded actually, which type of the kernel, which image will be loaded, and what are the files will be loaded, all the information will be displaying exist in this configuration file. If you face any problem, so you can use either you can use this command grub to make configuration, so it will regenerate the grub bootloader and update the grub bootloader. And if there is any typo mistake in a BIOS, so there is a also sort out. And boot device hardware failure also is the problem at the time of the booting system. And another is a problem to solve the boot process. Systemctl get default, set default, and also systemctl set default. There is a two types of the you can set. One is a graphical target. Here you can see this one is a graphical target, another is a multi-user target. So first you will check which one has been set the default. So default interface will be displaying here when you will use the systemctl get default. So like here systemctl and get default. Here it is. So graphical.target has been default. So if you want to set, if you want to make changes, so you can set or you can make the changes. Like you can set the multi-user if you want to set the graphical target. So here it is now is a graphical target. That is the reason it is displaying.